Ladies and gentlemen, this is TVP World. You're watching World News. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee, and these are the latest headlines. The shooter in Montenegro has died from self-inflicted gunshot wounds after killing at least 10 people and injuring 4 in the town of Cetinje in the western region of the country. The Interior Minister of Montenegro confirmed that the shooter attempted suicide as police closed in. He succumbed to his injuries while being transported to the hospital. The incident began following a bar brawl with a 45-year-old gunman killing members of his own family as well as a restaurant owner. In response to the tragedy, the Prime Minister of Montenegro is reportedly considering a nationwide ban on carrying firearms.
We have 4 severely wounded people at a Podgorica hospital. Doctors are fighting for their lives. All of them are on operating tables. We hope that the doctors will succeed in saving their lives and the victims will pull through. We will tighten restrictions on owning firearms. Tomorrow, we will likely hold a National Security Council meeting where we will consider all options, including a complete ban on carrying firearms. That is also on the table. This is a tragedy after which we must ask ourselves who should be allowed to possess firearms in Montenegro.
U.S. authorities are investigating a potential connection between 2 deadly incidents that occurred on Wednesday. In New Orleans, 15 people were killed when a U.S.-born citizen from Texas drove a pickup truck into a crowd, while in Las Vegas, a Tesla Cybertruck exploded near the Trump Hotel.
The suspect in the New Orleans attack, which killed at least 15 people, has been identified by the FBI as a U.S.-born citizen from Texas. According to initial findings of the agency, the perpetrator had an ISIS flag pinned to his vehicle.
The FBI is leading the investigation to determine what happened, why it happened, whether there was any continuing threat to public safety. Additionally, we're tracking the explosion of a Cybertruck outside the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas. Law enforcement and the intelligence community are investigating this as well, including whether there's any possible connection with the attack in New Orleans. Thus far, there's nothing to report on that score at this time.
Tesla CEO Elon Musk is assisting in the investigation regarding the Cybertruck. The businessman shared several videos from Tesla charging stations across the country with law enforcement.
Actually, I have to thank Elon Musk specifically. He gave us quite a bit of additional information in regards to how the vehicle was locked after it exploded due to the force of the nature of the force from the explosion, as well as being able to capture all of the video from the Tesla charging stations across the country, and he sent that directly to us.
As of right now, our number one goal is to ensure that we have the proper identification of the subject involved in this incident. Following that, our second objective is to determine whether this was an act of terrorism or not. I know everybody's interested in that word and trying to see if we can say, hey, this is a terrorist attack. That is our goal, and that's what we're trying to do.
It has also been found that both cars used in the attacks were rented through the same car share service. So far, just a coincidence, authorities say.
A brutal shooting in New York has left at least 11 people injured. The incident occurred outside a nightclub in Queens on Wednesday night, and 3 or 4 suspects remains at large. Approximately 30 shots were fired at a group of partygoers outside the nightclub. Around 15 people were gathered when 4 men launched an attack. Social media footage shows the street cordoned off by the police with a massive crime scene established in the area. Witness reported that the attackers fled in a lightly colored sedan with out-of-state license plates. Authorities have dismissed speculation that this was a terror attack, but a search for the suspect is ongoing. Ukraine's air defenses intercepted 47 Russian drones fired from western Russia overnight, with most being shot down in regions such as Poltava, Sumy, and Kharkiv. Russia has continued its drone attack on Ukraine, including strikes on the capital throughout New Year's Day. Since the start of the year, nearly 200 Russian drones have been launched at targets across the country. Falling debris from these attacks has caused damage and fires in residential buildings. Many civilians in the affected area have resorted to sealing shattered windows with plastic wrap to keep out the cold. A Polish soldier is under investigation for a possible attempted murder following an incident at the Polish-Belarusian border. Polish prosecutors are looking into the case, but the suspect's intoxication is hindering their work. The soldier stationed at the Polish-Belarusian border fired at a civilian car on the afternoon of January 1st. A father and daughter who were traveling inside did not sustain any injuries. The soldier was detained, and preliminary findings showed that he was intoxicated when the incident occurred. The Ukrainian government has stopped Russian natural gas supplies transiting through Ukraine following the expiration of a 5-year agreement on January 1st. Correspondent Oz Cetinje has the details.
As expected and as promised, Ukraine has indeed halted gas supplies coming from Russia transiting through Ukraine into Europe. Now, this is significant. It's been causing consternation with the countries that receive that gas. It's amounted to about 5% of the Russian gas, 5% of Europe's gas coming into Europe, and mainly catering to Austria, Hungary, and Slovakia. And there's been a major dispute between Kyiv and Slovakia about this, particularly with Robert Fico coming out quite strongly, promising retaliatory measures if Kyiv followed through. While Kyiv has followed through now, the Energy Ministry publishing saying it was in the interests of national security. Zelensky also made comments about this, saying Moscow was turning energy into a weapon. He had some critical remarks, calling it the hysteria of politicians who prefer the mafia-style energy mafia that Putin is running. And say in this statement, Zelensky said, when Putin was presented with the Russian presidency more than 25 years ago, the annual gas transit through Ukraine to Europe totaled more than 130 billion cubic meters. Today, it equals zero. This is one of Moscow's biggest defeats. Indeed, this deal was worth at least $5 billion per annum to Russia. It was thought to be worth about 800 million to Ukraine each year. So they're going to be losing from this as well, but not as much as Russia's state energy company, Gazprom, is going to be losing from this. Now, there is still one more route into Europe. That's the Turk Stream pipeline that facilitates Russian gas into Europe. But as far as Ukraine is concerned, that's it. The deal has not been renewed, the 5-year deal. And going forward, Russian gas is not going to transit through Europe. How that affects Europe remains to be seen, whether that will drive up gas prices, energy prices in general, whether that's going to cause more problems, more friction between Fico and Zelensky, that remains to be seen. But for now, all we can see is that Ukraine definitely has followed through and that Russian gas is no longer transiting through Ukraine as the 3-year mark of the war approaches.
Poland assumed the rotating EU presidency on January 1st of 2025. With a focus on Ukraine, security, and resilience, the country stepped into a pivotal role during challenging geopolitical times. Correspondent Sasha Fabak reports from Brussels.
Geopolitical tensions abound from China and to Russia and everything in between. Also, challenges of how to keep the economy moving across the European Union. Now, Poland has been thrust into the spotlight, taking over the rotating presidency of the EU Council from January. But this has not dulled its ambitions. It's an agenda fully looking at how to bolster more on defense, providing more defense support and political support for Ukraine, and also bolstering the resilience of Europe as a whole. Now, there are many challenges, and this is a time to reshape policy at a key role in Europe. And now the question is, can Warsaw deliver on that in the next 6 months?
It won't be a presidency of business as usual. We need a strategic shift in thinking among all the members of the European Union and among the leaders.
Poland's leadership will play a vital role in advancing legislative priorities, coordinating responses to crises, and ensuring cohesion across the bloc. Much will need to be done, but the mood is already very positive, according to Kaja Kallas, the EU's chief diplomat.
High expectations for Polish presidency. I have already talked with the foreign minister Sikorski as well, what we can do together in terms of developing Europe further and also to doing things for our own defense.
Leadership will be needed at a time when the EU faces internal divisions on issues like migration and economic governance, while external threats, including disinformation and hybrid warfare, grow. Simultaneously, Europe must navigate an unpredictable transatlantic relationship, with Trump's shifting policies raising concerns over NATO cohesion and U.S. support for European defense.
I have actually two principal expectations. One is exactly related with the maintaining the support of the European Union for Ukraine and delivering the message, and not only political messages through conference or press conference, but also to effective support in the field, with money, with resources, with equipment, with all it was promised for the Ukrainians to continuing standing in front of the Russian aggression. The second one is related in a way with the enlargement process, because this new commission also address this issue, and Moldova is a country having done spectacular progress on this path, and I hope that the Polish presidency of the Council will encourage and will support this Moldova accession process.
Warsaw's presidency brings bold priorities aimed at reshaping the bloc's future. A major focus will be unwavering support for Ukraine through military aid and moving Kyiv closer to EU membership. The message will be loud and clear. Alongside tougher sanctions on Russia and Belarus, Warsaw believes this is essential in ensuring European unity.
We need to find more common thinking on defense spending. So pretty much more money about protection of the borders, external borders of the EU, because either we will have safe external borders or the borders within Europe will reappear, and about common purchasing of ammunition and other military equipment, because it simply makes sense.
The first 6 months of 2025 offer Poland a chance to lead at a pivotal moment for the EU, with a focus on Ukraine, resilience against authoritarian regimes, and bolstering European security. Warsaw aims to make a lasting mark. Its ability to unite member states during this volatile era will be closely watched. Sasha Farbach for TVP World in Brussels.
And with that, we conclude this edition of World News. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.